Bickley and Marotta. Kickin' It with Jay Feely. Brought to you by Yrefy. Invest in America's future. Go to investyrefy.com.
We continue on the Monday edition of Bickley and Marotta Mornings. Kellan Olson sitting in for Bick. And as we do every Monday, we get to talk NFL. No real Cardinals to talk about. We'll talk NFL with Jay Feely, Kicking It with Jay, brought to you by Yrefy. And what do we got here? What do we got? The game ball? What's that say?
Well, you know, you guys were just talking about ASU beating St. Thomas. I have this up in my office here. It's my grandpa's 400 win because he was the head coach at St. Thomas basketball for over 20 years, about 25 years. So that was kind of cool for me to hear that right now.
I had no idea that was the case. Forgive me, Jay. My knowledge of St. Thomas basketball was not up to snuff. I guess they were a Division III powerhouse making the transition to Division I. I actually thought they played a really good game last night.
Yeah, he played there and played at St. Thomas Academy, which is the high school as well, and then coached both of them for over 30 years. And you know, he was it was cool because when I was playing in the NFL, he was done playing, he was done coaching. But he would call me every week and he would just ask me, you know, about the coaches and what they're doing and how the season's going and what's going on. And if I ever missed that call, I'd have a voicemail and he'd be like, "Jay, it's your grandpa. What, are you mad at me?"
That's great.
But it was, you know, I just miss him. And, you know, it's been a long time since he passed away. So that was kind of cool for me to hear that.
That's really cool that
memory of my grandpa.
That's cool that you got that game ball. Obviously, we got no Cardinals to break down from yesterday, but we got some NFC West to talk about. And suddenly, this muddled picture in the NFC West, I think a lot of people at the beginning of the year, Jay, were talking about the lack of quality in this division, maybe. But as we sit here and speak today, it's the only division where all four teams are 500 or above. It's really tight. You had Seattle pulling the win, getting back in the win column against San Francisco, and the Rams winning. I mean, how do you size this all up now with 7 weeks to go, and what do the Cardinals need to do to stay on top?
Well, you know, these next 3 weeks, they play, obviously, the Seahawks and then Minnesota and then the Seahawks again. I think this defines their season. If you can go 2-1 in those 3 games, I think that's a win, and I think you're going to win the division. If you go 1-2, you let everyone else in, you go 0-3, and I think the season collapses on you. So that's why I think these 3 games define this season. I do believe this division is going to come down to the final game against the 49ers. I think that'll determine who wins this division. And when you look at the wild card, I don't think a team from the NFC West gets a wild card spot.
No.
So you have to win this division to get into the playoffs. And the reason I say that is right now the wild cards are the Vikings, the Packers, and the Commanders. The Vikings are 8-2, Packers are 7-3, the Commanders are 7-4. And when you look at those records, I think 10-7 is the worst case scenario for either of those 3 teams. So that's why I say I think you really have to win the division to get in.
And 2 of those teams right now have the tiebreaker against the Cardinals in head-to-head matchups. So there's that.
And you got the Vikings coming up as well.
Exactly.
Jay, when you look at the 49ers specifically, it feels like it has been this prolonged wait for us to see them return to form. Where's your patience level at with them after the loss to Seattle?
Yeah, I mean, obviously not having Christian McCaffrey at the beginning of the season and throughout the whole first half has skewed, you know, what this team can do and what you expected from him. And you just kind of felt as soon as he gets back, okay, they'll be the 49ers again. They'll be the team that was so close to winning a Super Bowl last year, and it just hasn't happened yet. You know, and they had a lot of issues, you know, throughout the offseason, guys holding out, McCaffrey getting hurt. They've had injuries throughout the season, and it hasn't worked the same way. I still expect them to be, you know, a very good team down the stretch. And I think each game as you go along, they're going to get better, and they're going to understand how to win better. You know, but until you go out and do it, it doesn't matter. Your potential doesn't matter. It's, you know, the dreaded word always, potential, especially when you're not out there performing the way that you should. And so I think it'll be the 49ers. I think it'll be the Cardinals. And I think that last game of the season will define who wins that division.
Kicking It with Jay Feely every Monday morning, brought to you by Yrefy here on Arizona Sports. Moving away from the NFC West, the improbable run for the Chiefs ends yesterday. They were 9-0. They taste their own blood for the first time. Buffalo gets them again in the regular season. And there's a lot of people, Jay, that will argue in the pursuit of a championship, and this would be the 3rd straight for Kansas City, you don't want to be consumed by the pursuit of perfection. Is this a good thing that the Chiefs maybe got a loss now?
I think it was inevitable. I believe the stat was they have 7 wins in one-score games. They'd been behind and come back and found ways to win, improbable wins, blocking a field goal at the end of a game. So this was something that was right there. You can't keep having those really close games and finding a way to win every time. It just kind of evens out on you. But I just love that rivalry. It is so awesome to watch
good.
the Bills and the Chiefs. I've been blessed to be on the sidelines for all those playoff games. And, the 13-second game at Kansas City was just unbelievable, truly like unbelievable. Every part of it. I was on the sidelines doing the game, working, and I'm pushing random people on the sidelines, just going, did that just happen? Are you kidding me? And I felt that way a couple of different times in that series. When you watch those games, and really though, the only thing that matters for Buffalo is if they beat them in the playoffs.
Exactly.
Like, it doesn't matter what you do in the regular season, because you can't beat them in the playoffs until you do it. And those games have been so close, and it'll be fun to watch coming down the stretch. But I think Sean McDermott and his staff deserve a ton of credit, because to get rid of Diggs and to kind of make over that team and to be where they are, they've done an unbelievable job.
A dramatic game developed late last night. 34-27 win for the Chargers, who improved to 7-3. Justin Herbert, at least in the first half, sure looked like himself and looked like that guy who could be in the MVP race any year. Some things unfolded for him in the second half, we'll put it that way. But at 7-3, Jay, are the Chargers kind of entering sleeper territory for you in the AFC a little bit, or is the pecking order there just too large at the top?
I think they 100% are a contender. And the reason I say that is because of the way their defense is playing throughout this year. That's been the biggest transformation. You had Brandon Staley as the head coach, and he was brought in as this defensive guru, and they did not play good defense. And that's why he got fired. And Jim Harbaugh comes in, and he's able to get this defense playing excellent. And I was a little skeptical of the way they were using Justin Herbert, and I understood they wanted to establish the run game. They wanted to be a physical team, but you can't neuter one of the best talents in the NFL as well in Justin Herbert. But I'm kind of coming around to the way that they've done it and the way that they've tried to shape and mold him and use him in the right way and not turn the ball over and be a physical team that punches you up front on both sides of the ball and then doesn't give you the opportunity to get back in games so you don't turn the ball over. And obviously they let him get back in the game last night, but that's a team that's been hot in the Bengals. They've been scoring points and they've been getting after it. So that was a good win for the Chargers.
Talking with Jay Feely, as we do every Monday morning here on Bickley and Marotta Mornings. Kicking It with Jay is brought to you by Yrefy. The Detroit Lions, I've been calling them bullies now for the last month or so, and they bullied Jacksonville. Second time they've scored over 50. Fourth time they've scored over 40 this year. The rest of the league has 5 such games. Are we living in a world right now, Jay Feely, where the Detroit Lions are the best team in the NFL?
We certainly are. What the amazing stat that I saw was that they have 2 games over 50 this year, and in the rest of the Lions' history, they've only had 3 games over 50.
Wow.
I mean, that's just unbelievable. But, I think what Dan Campbell has done in turning them into bullies and turning them into this physical team that teams talk about the residual impact on the next few weeks after playing the Lions because of the physicality of that team. And I just think they've done an unbelievable job. And to be able to take Jared Goff off the scrap heap and turn him into one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL is a spectacular job. Think about where Jared Goff was when the Rams got rid of him after they lose the Super Bowl and Sean McVay decides, I can't win with this guy and I need to make a move. Unbelievable job. And they are the best team in the NFL right now. There's no doubt about it.
Incredible afternoon yesterday for the Denver Broncos, 38-6 win over the Falcons. How about Bo Nix? 28 of 33, 307 yards, 4 touchdowns. Jay, he certainly appeared to turn a corner at the halfway point of the year. What is that moment for young quarterbacks, maybe not even in their rookie or in that second year, where you start to see that switch flip? Because Bo certainly seems to not have only have located it, but hit the switch as well.
So here's the interesting thing, because Russell Wilson's doing a really good job in Pittsburgh and playing well. And obviously it was a disaster with Denver. Sean Payton wants a quarterback who will run his offense exactly the way he tells him. He revels in the minutia of play design. He moves the guy over 6 inches on a Friday practice because he wants to have outside leverage on a certain route. And everything is done very specifically for Sean Payton. And so if he has a quarterback that plays off schedule, that doesn't throw it on time, that doesn't really run his offense the way he wants, he's frustrated. Even if he makes a play on the field, it ticks him off and he doesn't like it. And so that's why it didn't work with Russell. And then you have Bo Nix, who does play the game the way he wants and will make the reads that he wants and throw to the guy that he wants. And so when Sean designs a play, he's going to execute it the way that he wants. And, it was interesting because I heard so much out of Denver talking to the coaches in the offseason. They were so high on Bo Nix, so excited that he got him, that other teams took other quarterbacks and that he was able to fall to them and they were able to get him. And you're like, okay, are they just talking about a guy because they drafted him and they're talking him up? But it sure seems like an unbelievable fit up there in Denver.
Yeah, Jay, great stuff as always. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk to you again next Monday.
All right, guys, good to talk to you. Take care.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Marotta. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.